Hey guys, welcome to my first ever competitive Pokemon battle back from 2013 in Gen 5. I will warn you that the quality is not the best, but I really wanted to show it off because I recorded this video a long time ago and it was my first ever competitive battle, so thought I'd give it some love. Now, back when I was younger, of course, I didn't know much about EVs and IVs and all this stuff, but I still think I fared pretty well. So Toto here leads off with his Altaria, and I lead with my tank, Forretress. Forretress was like my ace lead back in the day. He goes for the Dragon Dance, which isn't the best idea because if I remember correctly, he doesn't pack that many physical moves. Also, I pack Gyro Ball, which will get that boost now after the speed boost. So I go ahead and lead off with Toxic so I get that residual damage as I'm setting up my spikes and my Stealth Rock and all that good stuff. And he goes for the Dragon Pulse, which is not very effective. So I'm assuming he didn't have much to take care of me, or at least of a Forretress. And also, Dragon Pulse is not a physical move, so he doesn't get that buff from the attack buff. But this is something that he get the buff from, and that is Sky Attack. Luckily, my Gyro Ball did enough of a chunk to where one more Gyro Ball mixed with the Toxic should definitely be enough to take it out before it can unleash its Sky Attack. And indeed it was. Luckily, it wasn't packing the Power Herb or anything to have that Sky Attack go right away. Now he goes into his Matang, which is kind of an issue for Forretress because I can't poison it. My Gyro Ball is not going to do that much. So I just continue to set up the spikes instead so that I can get the damage off on the rest of his team. He goes for the Meteor Mash, but Forretress dodges it. And I go for the third spikes, and I'm pretty sure at that point I have as many spikes set up as possible. I remember my game plan back here was I was just going to Explosion it to get as much damage as possible after I set up all my spikes. Because I just had spikes, Gyro Ball, Explosion, and Toxic. But of course I couldn't get the Toxic off because it's a Steel type. I don't know if I misclick or what, but I did go for the another spikes, but it failed. And I wasn't able to get off my Explosion because of the Psychic. Honestly, I should have ran something other than Explosion, like Stealth Rock, but, I just wanted it just to have fun. So I go into my Ninetales, and I'm not worried about this thing at all now, because one Flamethrower is going to do a huge chunk of its health, if not knock it out, especially if it's not packing the Eviolite. And yes, Flamethrower was enough. So now, I think we're 5-4 now. He goes into his Arcanine. Now, luckily, I do pack more than Fire moves, so I don't have to worry if he had Flash Fire, which he didn't. Can Arcanine get Flash Fire? I'm pretty sure. So he goes for the Outrage, and after taking a decent amount of spike damage, I'm not too worried about my ability to knock it out. But I go for the Confuse Ray anyway, because I know that Arcanine is a huge heavy hitter. So we're going to have to be careful of that, especially since that Outrage is going to two-hit us. And unfortunately, he doesn't succumb to the Confusion and gets out the second Outrage, but we live with 2 health and we're able to get off the Hex. Now then I thought that the Hex would get boosted from the Confuse Ray because I was just a little kid and I was like, oh, that's a status condition, but no, that only works with like paralysis and stuff. So honestly, it would have been better if I used Extra Sensory, but I just kept on using Hex thinking it was a better option. He goes for the Heat Wave, and luckily I'm packing Flash Fire. So now not only are my fire moves boosted, but I get another free turn. Let me tell you, Pokemon with immunities or abilities that give them immunities are just so helpful. They're great switch-ins and great for just throwing off your opponent. Alright, and there, Ninetales goes down, and Arcanine's left with just a sliver of health. So I go into my Reforage, my Bastiodon. I told you, I'm packing a lot of tanks on this team just because, I'm not sure why I was, actually. I guess defensive Pokemon were just my preference back in the day. I don't know what was going through my little 12-year-old head. So, I just go for the Toxic because I know it's going to knock it out anyway. And I didn't want to reveal any of my attacking moves when I could just use Toxic and get him out of here. So now he goes into his Verizon Wireless. And takes a decent chunk of spike damage too. And I don't know why I stayed in here. I guess I just assumed that Bastiodon has such good defense to be able to take a Sacred Sword. But alas, the 4 times effectiveness was more than enough to take him out. So I proceed to go into my Shuckle. Yeah, my Shucky from Little Heart Gold. So he goes for the Sacred Sword, and it doesn't do nearly as much as I thought it would, which is hilarious because of how tanky Shuckle is. So I go for the Toxic, and if I'm not mistaken, this is nearly a vanilla Shucky. I'm packing Bide, like the weirdo that I am, charging up every turn. He goes for the Giga Drain to start healing off some of the damage that he's been taking. But fortunately, even though I'm not doing damage, that Toxic is still having its effect. And with each time that he hits me, if he doesn't knock me out, we're going to be able to unleash a really powerful Bide. So he goes for the second Giga Drain, but at this point, it was already too late. He did more than enough damage. My Bide's going to hit for that 3 times amount, or however much. He's barely at half health, and here we go. Shuckle unleashes its energy. I don't know why I was packing Shuckle. I just thought it was more of like a funny haha troll type thing. So he goes into his Mienshao. He was from another country, so all the Pokemon names are mixed up. So he goes for the Bounce, and I try and go for the Toxic, but of course it misses. And he comes down with the Bounce, and I'm like, well, bye Shuckle. But nope, 2 HP, but we do get paralyzed, unfortunately. But luckily, we surpass through the paralysis and get off the Toxic. Yeah, a lot of my Pokemon were packing Toxic. I was looking back on this and I was like, why are my Pokemon so defensive? Yeah, I don't think I had a Sweeper at all. But he goes for the Bounce again, which wasn't a great idea because not only is Bounce not perfect accuracy, but he's just going to be taking some extra poison damage. And yeah, at this point, there's no way Shuckle's going to live that with 1 health. As a matter of fact, I don't even think I had held items on anybody. Gosh, what was going through my head back then? So now, he's already at about under half health, so I send in my Mr. Mime. And he goes for the high jump kick. Luckily for him, he didn't miss, or else... Yeah, that would have been real bad for him. That would have been a free KO for me. So, there we go. Psychic takes it out. But we are at half health, so we're going to have to watch it. Now, his final Pokemon, Emolga, comes out. And this, I was so worried about this thing. Especially everything that Elisa did in her gym to me. Oh, that gym gave me so much trouble when I was younger. Like, you wouldn't even believe it. Alright, so final Pokemon versus final Pokemon. Seaking versus Emolga. Now, he goes for the Electro Ball here. And Seaking, my Seaking, I don't think it was as slow as I thought it was. And we actually take that really well. That's definitely going to be a 3-hit KO on the Electro Ball. So I go for my Waterfall. And we do over half damage. So as long as we can take this one last Electro Ball, we will be able to knock it out and clutch that victory. And luckily, Electro Ball can't paralyze or anything, so we were in the good. And we get off that final KO. And Static activates, and it doesn't even matter at this point. So yeah, that's my first ever competitive battle back in the day. If you guys want to see more of this, I have a lot of others recorded from back in the day. Some of them being way better quality. I have double battles too, other stuff that I could show off and re-commentate over. But yeah, just let me know in the comments if I should do more, do less. Let me know if you have any questions or anything about my team or anything really. Yeah, that's all. Thanks for watching. Bye.